And you do put it into 4 compartments. However, ba'ar echad, all of those compartments are made from one skin. However, but if you do write them on one skin, and you put them in 4 compartments, you're still yotze. So what you're doing over here, you're writing it on one parchment, and what you would do is you would stuff in each one into its compartment, and it would be connected on the bottom. Rabbi says that you would need a space between them so that it should be able to go over that fold to get into the next one. So the way they would do this is they put molds up for the leather, and then they like little squares, and they squeeze them together. When they pull out the molds, they're left with a square on the outside and the inside.
That's the glove of the hand.
Yeah, and then inside you would have indents because of those molds that are. The Chachamim Ma'imrim ain't tzarich. It's not necessary to have that space between the portions. If a person did it all on one parchment, that's not necessary. As long as there's a regular space that's between words, that's good enough. It's enough that if a string or another type of string can fit between the two, or each of the houses, each of the compartments on the outside. But if you can't tell that they're separate compartments, it's possible. Rashi explains that it's possible to do it if you would have, let's say, a thicker leather, and that you could get out. The outside would be perfectly flat, where it won't be folded. If it's a thinner leather, then you're going to need to fold it over and squeeze it, right, over the molds. But if it's a thicker leather, you may be able to stuff in things and squeeze it. The outside would be perfectly smooth, without that fold, without the groove. They ask on Rashi. They say doesn't seem possible to do them, whatever the case is. Okay. But if it's not recognizable on the Shel Rosh that you have the 4 compartments, it's possible. Tana Rabbanan. Ketzad Kaisvan. How do you write Ketzad Kaisvan? Tfilin Shel Yad. The Tfilin Shel Yad is Kaisva al Orechad. That's all written on one piece of leather, one parchment. Let's say you wrote it on 4 different parchments, and you put it all into the same. There's only one compartment in the Shel Yad. We're on 34b, yeah. And you put it into the yatsa. It's archly davik, but you have to glue them together, connect them together. And it should be for you as a sign on your hand. It should be for you as a sign on your hand, just like it's a sign on the outside. It's a sign on the inside for you, just one. And if it's 4 that are separated, then it's not considered one sign. Divrei Rabbi Yehuda. That's the words of Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Yossi says it's not necessary to glue them together. Amar Rabbi Yossi. Rabbi Yossi says, Maidali Rabbi Yehuda. Rabbi Yehuda agrees to me. Maidali Rabbi Yehuda Berebi. Rabbi Yehuda the Great. Berebi could mean the son of Rabbi, or it could mean the Great. She'im ein tefillin shel yad. She'im ein tefillin shel yad. Let's say a person doesn't have the tefillin shel yad. But he has 2 head tefillins. Shatoila or al achas me'am umenicha. You just put one piece of skin over the shel rosh, over one of the shel roshes, and you tie it on your arm. Now the fact that it has compartments on the inside doesn't matter, because the outside is turned into one compartment with that skin that you put on the outside. What's the problem? That it's 4 different parchments. Rabbi Yehuda said you needed to glue them. That was Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Comes along Rabbi Yossi and says Rabbi Yehuda agrees to me that if you only have one type of tefillin, you only have 2 shel roshes, so it's not a problem. The Gemara says Maida Hainu Plugtayu. He agrees. What do you mean he agrees? Usually it says we argue about this, but he agrees in that case. Here it's saying that a case that they're arguing about, he agrees to. That was the problem. The machlekes was if you have 4 separate parchments in the Shel Yad. And Rabbi Yossi says that Rabbi Yehuda agrees to him. that it's okay.
So there's no
Amarava. Rava says, Midvarav shel Rabbi Yosi, Chazer by Rabbi Yehuda. It must be that Rabbi Yehuda retracted. It's not just that he agrees. He retracted from his opinion. And they taka agree. They agree there's no machlekes anymore. Einy, is it so? Vashalach Rav Chanina Mishmeid Rabbi Yochanan. Rav Chanina sent in the name of Rabbi Yochanan, Tefillah shel yad, ois shel reish. The tefillah shel yad can be turned into a shel reish. However, a shel reish ain't nice shel yad, but a shel reish you can't turn it into a shel yad. If you shein meridim chamura l'kedusha kala, because you can't make from a more holy to a lesser holy, and the shel reish is more holy.
Why?
Let's see. Rashi says that the shel reish has the name Shakai, majority of the name Shakai on it, because the knot, the shin and the dalet, I guess, is the knot. It's unclear what he means. Ruba shel Shakai.
Yeah, the shin is on the
Right.
brush, and
In
the
the
dalet is on the knot.
Right. In the shel yad, you only have a yud.
But if you're missing one letter, it means nothing.
I hear you.
You could throw out the word shade.
Oh, you have a hole in this.
Huh?
Yeah.
Then he says, V'ro kalami aretz, and Rabbi Eliezer says, Elu tefillin shabarosh, that the name of God is upon you, the nations of the world will see it, and that's referring to tefillin shabarosh. It means that that's holier. Is there another opinion here as to why? I don't see. At least it's not on the side. Okay. The Gemara says like kasha. We just gave this option of someone that only has two shel reishos to use one of them for shel yad. We said you can't degrade the kedusha of the shel reish for shel yad. The Gemara says like kasha. It depends if it's old or if it's new. If it was used already, then we're on 34 towards the bottom. Old or new. If it was used already, then it was already used as a shel reish, it was already made holy. But if it was never used yet, just because you decided, the Sefer made, I'm so sorry, I made you two shel reishos, but it was never used yet, then you can put on another thing over it, a little piece of leather, and it's good. What do you do according to the one that says Hazmana Milsihi? Hazmana Milsihi means that just designating it is enough. You don't actually have to use it for it to get the holiness. Designation is something. If you designate it for the shel reish, it already becomes like a shel reish. The Gemara says, "Dasni alei mikara." For that, we could say that he made a condition that if I don't have another shel yad, I'm going to use it for a shel yad. It's like a tanai. In Prague, the shul, al tanai shul, was possibly called that because it's al tanai. It was made on condition that they could use it for something else. Other opinions say that it's al tanai, that it had an old part and had a new part because they made an extension or something. Tana Rabbanan. It's a very famous piece of Gemara here. Keitzad Sidran. What's the order of the tefillin? Yeah, look at this carefully because this is incredible. It says Kadesh li v'haya kiviyachem yamin. Kadesh li, as one, that's the first section of that's written in the tefillin, and v'haya kiviyacha are on the right side. Shema v'hayim shmaya mismal. Shema and v'hayim shmaya are on the left side. What does that mean? Shema and v'hayim shmaya on the left side. So, let's say it goes like this. The Gemara is going to say it's on the right side of the reader, not on the wearer. Right? So Kaddish is here, Vaya Kiviyacha. That's the right side. Kaddish and Vaya Kiviyacha. Now Shema and Vayim Shema on the left side. So I have two options: Shema and Vayim Shemaya, or Shema and Vayim Shemaya. That's on the left side. That's Machlekes Rashi and Rabbeinu Tam. Rabbeinu Tam proves. He says the fact that it divides it up into two must mean that you're restarting the count of Shema V'Hayim Shmaya from the left. Else it didn't need to say that. It just said, just say it starting from the right. Kadesh V'Hayiki V'Yacha Shman V'Hayim Shmaya.
Is the same seder for a lefty as the righty?
Yeah.
Or it's a different?
No, it's the same. Because it's from the reader's side, not the one that wears it. It's the right of the reader. The Gemara says, Vatanya Ibcha. But we have a Bais that says exactly the opposite. That Kaddish is and Vayaki V'Yach is on the left. Shema is on the right. Amar Abaya le Kasha. Abaya says it's not a problem. It's not a question. Kan miminu shel kaira, kan miminu shel miniach. One is from the right of the reader, one is from the right of the one that's putting it on. Va'akaira kari kisidron. The one that's reading it reads it in order. Now, va'akaira kari kisidron means that he's reading in order. That means that it's going to be on the right. That makes sense? Kari kari kisidron. He reads it the way that they're written in the Torah. That's what it means.
But according to Rabbeinu Tam, it's not Keseder.
Listen to this. Rabbeinu Tam learns it that V'Hakaire Kaire Kesidron means that the one that reads the Brisa, that the Brisa is read Kadesh Vayiki V'Yacha Mimin, and then Shema V'Hayim Shmayim Mismol that's the order. From the left, not the order of the way it's placed. That's incredible. But the one who reads the Brisa reads it that's directly, as opposed to it's this Taisus on the bottom. So this is the source of, according to the way to remember that Rabbeinu Tam is, Rabbeinu Tam has the two Vahayas are in the center. We mentioned yesterday that if the mezuzah is put in like a peg, it's puzzle. We mentioned the pshat that if it goes in on an angle, that was kosher. So Rabbeinu Tam over there says that why do you think it's better for the mezuzah to be standing straight up? That's more respectful. We'll walk into a shul when the Torah is down, people can sit. That's because that's the respectful position for the Torah. So why do you think a mezuzah standing up is more respectful? Maybe when it's laying flat, it's more respectful. And he learns that angle is actually on a slant. So, but he holds that the parshias of the tefillin as well need to be put in, not with they're put in on that as if they're laying down. So they're put in differently. The tefillin that we have, that we say the Rabbeinu Tam tefillin, is the order of Rabbeinu Tam, which is the order he brings over here from other people, from the Goinim and others. But the actual way that we put it in would be different from Rabbeinu Tam. You say, oh, Rabbeinu Tam's tefillin, this is the tefillin he would wear. He wouldn't wear this tefillin. He would wear it in that order, but they would be positioned differently. Okay, stop here.
That's what's in the Sephardim, put the mezuzah straight, and the Ashkenazi